Khamzat Chimaev just showed one of the most dominant championship performances of all time against Dricus du Plessis, where he was in control for the majority of the fight. Even though he got in a little bit of trouble in the 5th round, he was in control and he was able to go a full 25 minutes. And as I've been saying, his cardio is not that bad. He still looked good in the 5th round. And after being such a hyped up prospect and after a really good title performance to become the champion, how far can Khamzat Chimaev go in his career? Can he surpass Anderson Silva as the greatest middleweight of all time? Can he become the greatest fighter of all time? And how does he stack up against the rest of the division? I think Dricus was one of the hardest tests of Khamzat's career. He was the biggest opponent he's ever faced. Dricus has really good stand-up. He's powerful. He has a good chin. He's durable. He's never going to slow down. And his grappling is pretty good. And Khamzat got through him pretty easily, having 3 50-44 scorecards. So assuming he could stay healthy and he continues his title reign, how does the rest of his career look like? I honestly think right now he's already surpassed guys like Whitaker as the greatest middleweight of all time. I think you could argue he's higher than Dricus just off of this performance, and he had good pre-title wins anyway against Whitaker and Usman. And for Izzy, his title wins didn't really age that well with Paulo Costa, Marvin Vettori, Jared Cannonier, and I don't think they're at the level of guys like Usman and Dricus. Plus, Izzy has racked up a few losses at middleweight, and I just think Khamzat is just a better fighter than Adesanya and would easily submit him in the 1st round. But with 0 title defenses, I don't think he's higher than Anderson Silva right now, but I am confident he'll eventually surpass him, becoming the greatest middleweight of all time. With that being said, how does he stack up against the other middleweights in the division? So I think his next test, if he does do a quick turnaround in Abu Dhabi a few months later, I think it will be against Anthony Hernandez. He's coming off of a better performance compared to De Ridder, and Imavov Barralho, that's going to be too short of a turnaround. I think Hernandez is a better grappler than Dricus, and his cardio is a little bit better, where he's going to make Khamzat work in those positions. He's going to try harder to get up, and he is a pretty good striker, but on the feet, he's just not as dangerous as Dricus. And I think Khamzat is the more dangerous striker of the two, and I think he would have a ton of success even if it was on the feet. I believe that he still would take Hernandez down very easily in the first couple of rounds. And if he's not able to finish him, it is going to get interesting because Hernandez is going to push a harder pace and his takedown defense is better. Even though it doesn't really matter how good your takedown defense is, you're still going to get taken down by Khamzat. Hernandez also just isn't as durable as Dricus du Plessis. So because of all this, I still think Khamzat Chimaev would beat Anthony Hernandez by decision. I think it would be a little bit closer of a fight, but ultimately it still would be a decision win for him. And I think after that, he would face the winner of Imavov versus Barralho in early 2026, summer 2026, somewhere around there. And I think both of these guys don't have a chance against Khamzat. I do think Hernandez right now is the toughest test for him, but with Imavov and Barralho, I don't think they really have any chance in this fight. If Imavov wins, he has good grappling offense, but his takedown defense isn't good. He got taken down super early by Brendan Allen, and Khamzat is going to ragdoll him in the first few rounds. Plus, Imavov doesn't have the cardio of Dricus du Plessis. He is powerful, but with the takedown threat, his striking isn't going to be as good. And outside of a puncher's chance, I don't see him having really any success, and I think Khamzat would finish him pretty early in their fight. With Barralho, he's well-rounded, but he's not great anywhere. He's a good striker, he has good grappling, he has great cardio, but with the takedown threat, again, his striking isn't going to be as good. He's not going to knock out Khamzat, and he's not going to stuff the takedowns. And again, I think Khamzat would finish him by submission in this fight, somewhere in the mid-rounds. And then with De Ridder, I also think De Ridder doesn't really have a chance in this fight. I know he has good knees to the body, he can gas out Khamzat, but his gas tank himself isn't great. We saw that in the Meerschaert fight, which I know he's improved since then, but he didn't really look that good. Khamzat Chimaev, I think, is the better striker. De Ridder almost got knocked out by Whitaker, and Khamzat is more powerful. And again, I think he's going to take him down. I think with the takedown threat, it's going to open up the shots, and I think he would knock out De Ridder on the feet in the 2nd or 3rd round, in my opinion. And I know other guys have called him out, like Bo Nickal, Sean Strickland. With Bo Nickal, obviously, he has no shot. That fight is never going to happen. And with Strickland, I also don't think that that fight is going to happen, but it is an interesting matchup. It's kind of like if Khamzat beats everyone else and Strickland is able to get a win or two, he may get the title shot. But with Strickland, I know he's been saying he's the best grappler, this and that. Khamzat is going to take him down, and he has less of a shot compared to Dricus, because even if he's able to stuff the takedowns late in the 4th and 5th round and he's able to not get submitted, he's not as dangerous as Dricus, and he's not going to be able to make anything happen on the feet. He's not going to knock out Khamzat. He's not going to submit him. And overall, I think he may survive to a dominant decision, but I think Khamzat would be able to finish him. So I think Chimaev already has great pre-title wins. He already has a pretty good resume, and I think he's going to rack up a couple of title defenses before he's going to change divisions and go for a second belt. Now the question is, who would he face in the other divisions, and which division would he go to? He weighed in pretty light for this fight, and I think it's possible he can make 170. If that was the case, I think he submits almost anyone at 170. I think JDM would get submitted in the first round. I just think the massive size difference, it would be too much. His grappling would be too much. But if he decides to go up to 205, not do a horrible weight cut, how would he do at light heavyweight? I think he would submit pretty much everyone in that division. I think Alex Pereira would get submitted. Pereira showed good takedown defense against Magomed. Magomed's ability to take it to the ground isn't as good as Chimaev's. He's not as dangerous as Chimaev. And I think Chimaev would submit a lot of guys like Pereira, Yuri, Olberg, Khalil, other guys at 205. I think the toughest test of Chimaev's career would be against Magomed Ankalaev. And the reason is Magomed has good takedown defense. It's much better compared to Dricus. He's a better striker. He's super fast. He's more powerful. And he has unreal cardio. We saw that in the Jan Blachowicz fight where he was able to get a 10-8 in the 5th round, nearly finished the fight after a pretty tough early going. So because of that, I do think Magomed is really the only guy that would be able to beat Khamzat Chimaev, stuff his takedowns, and get the decision win. But with all these predictions, how do I think Chimaev's career goes, and how do I think he ends his career? I think Chimaev, again, is going to become the greatest middleweight of all time. I think at one point he's going to become the pound-for-pound #1 fighter. And depending on who's champ, I think he will be able to get the second belt. I think he'll surpass guys like Khabib, Jose Aldo, Anderson Silva, maybe even Demetrius Johnson, Daniel Cormier, Stipe, Kamaru Usman. And the reason for this is because Khamzat Chimaev already has good wins, and if he's able to beat all these guys, just look at his resume. He'll have beat former champion Robert Whittaker, former champion Kamaru Usman, one of the greatest of all time, beat Dricus du Plessis, one of the best middleweights of all time, Anthony Hernandez, Imavov or Barralho, De Ritter, and if he's able to get the second belt, I do think that would be enough to put him over a lot of guys in the top 10, and I think Khamzat will end his career as a top 5 fighter of all time. I think his grappling is just on another level. He's the best grappler I think the sport has ever seen, in my opinion. He's the most dominant grappler, and I know the Dricus fight was pretty boring, but it still is impressive to 50-44 Dricus du Plessis. I picked Khamzat by submission, and I thought he still can win if it goes to a decision. I didn't think he would 50-44 him if it went to a decision. So it still was a very impressive performance by Khamzat. Let me know what you thought of the fight, how you think Khamzat stacks up against the other guys, how he ends his career. Let me know what you think.